What's up, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback, and thank you so much for tuning in today. If you're new to the channel and or if you haven't already, and you want to subscribe to stay up to date on everything that we're doing here, just hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot, and we really appreciate your support on this project. We also appreciate everybody who likes, comments, shares, all that jazz, all the lingo that we're supposed to use for YouTube stuff. If you want to engage with us outside of this platform, feel free to follow us on Instagram. It's at Flat Track Flashback on Instagram, or you can email us on Gmail. It's flattrackflashback@gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email. So yeah, it's the best ways to get a hold of us. And we've got a cool video today. I got to chat with the leading rookie for the American Flat Track Super Twins class. So without further ado, let's roll this new open that I tried and see how that goes and get right into it. All right, so we are joined by James Ott, rider of the G&G Racing Yamaha, and currently the highest ranked rookie in American Flat Track Super Twins class, coming off of his best finish of the year. James, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us. How we feeling, big dog?
Pretty good. Strong start to the week, as I told you. Just got off of a bicycle ride. Kind of a crazy weekend with Mother's Day, so easing back into the week a little bit, but stepping the right foot forward.
Yeah, how was the off week? You guys have had back-to-back weekends of AFT racing, a lot of stuff going on in California. How was it getting sort of an off weekend? What'd you guys do for Mother's Day?
It was weird. Saturday we didn't do much. We went riding in the morning at Honolulu Hills Flat Track. Super cool track out there. And other than that, Saturday was pretty mellow. And then yesterday just hung out with family all day and really did nothing. It was kind of the first day in a long time I did nothing. It was honestly in the beginning a little bit weird, to be honest, but once I got into the flow of it, now it was a nice little off day.
Now, kind of getting back into the swing of things, I saw there's a couple of pretty big events out there in California. It looks like G&G Racing is going to help sponsor or step up for Corey's event as well. Do you yourself have any plans for riding this coming week, or any races that you're going to attend?
Yeah, so Friday I'm gonna probably be at KCRP. They're running a race there, and then Saturday my good buddy Bronson Pierce has a supermoto race in same place, Kern County Race Park, on the car track. So I'm gonna go race that. That'll be my second supermoto race I've ever done. So I always have a pretty good time doing it because it's pretty low stress. I'm not expecting to do good in a supermoto, just going out and trying to improve on my all-around bike skills.
Kern seems like a pretty fun place. You guys got to run there the night before Ventura. I guess like we can kind of talk about the California swing. A lot of racing that week. Kind of walk us through the West Coast portion. You got to be back home for once. So yeah, let's just kind of walk through that couple of weeks for you, starting with Kern.
Yeah, Kern's always a fun track for me. Even riding the twin on it, it's like really good track to ride because they keep it harrowed and there's good traction all the time. So really like riding a twin around it feels just as fun as riding a single. Obviously there's times where you could be faster on a single there, but it was still fun. I got third, I think, overall there, and I mean, good race. It was a little bit slick, but they kept it going pretty good for their first night before. Um, I think there's a couple things they're going to improve on going in the future and try to get even more money, and hopefully we get more people out there. I tried my best to get everyone I know from AFT to go out there, and I know a lot of people because it's like 3 hours from Ventura didn't really want to go, but I think after they see the footage, they're gonna want to go in the future.
Now, with that being, the next night being at Ventura, obviously rookie year on the twin. Had you gotten to ride at Ventura on a twin prior to this event? Like any testing last year, when you guys kind of sort of like set the deal in place with the G&G team?
No, I actually never rode Ventura on a twin, surprisingly. You'd think maybe I would. It's pretty close. It's about 45 minutes for me, but never practiced there or anything. I've ridden there probably 10 or so times on a single with amateur races and whatnot, but never on a twin. So that was our first. And we really went into that race with our normal cushion track settings. And as you saw on the TV, it wasn't a normal cushion track. So pretty much made the bike completely backwards off of what we started the day with and inched up there a bit.
Well, then from moving off there, still came out with the top 10, and you've had a really strong stretch dating back to, I mean, you started off with a top 10 in Daytona. Second night didn't go as well, but then from Sonoy through this West Coast swing, you've had a really strong effort. Moving on from Ventura, you guys ran out at Lodi. You got to run the twin out there. Yeah, let's kind of talk through the night at Lodi, and then leading into Chico.
Lodi was awesome, man. That track's such a good track. It's super smooth, super racy on the night before nights because we get so many of the pro guys there. We just make the grooves so wide. Obviously, like the bottom still gets a little bit faster, but the track just being so smooth, it's a nice like turn of pace from like some of the bumpier AFD tracks. But just being in a hometown, I got to ride the twin there actually a couple weeks prior, so I got a little bit of testing there on the twin, and I think it really helped me with just confidence with having a little bit of testing, going in with a little bit of the more upper hand and getting the win there, and then getting to roll that into Chico. But really solid event from Lodi. I'm really happy with how that went.
It's so cool, like sort of said a little bit. It's so cool seeing all these events sort of be built around the AFT swing out there.
Mhm.
Give everybody who's traveling a little bit more to look forward to. I kind of wish that, and maybe we'll get to see it more in the future, that there's more of these night before type things in and around areas that maybe local promoters can step up and help riders
Mhm.
out. So you're not just traveling for a single event and then heading back home. I want to talk to you about sort of like your travels to and from races in a moment, but definitely don't want to leave Chico alone. It's sort of the biggest, the most recent event, obviously, and a big night for you, showing some really good speed all day and some really, from a fan standpoint, a lot of fun racing to watch. So yeah, man, let's talk about Chico, man.
Yeah, Chico. I mean, I knew it was going to be a pretty decent race. That type of track, I really like it. It's similar to Sonoya, definitely more of like a be on the rubber type of groove track. But man, that race last year was so good, and I knew going into this would be pretty good. It was definitely bumpier in practice, not what we expected. But they worked really hard, got that track smoothed out, and a couple more racing lines for us. And as you saw after the rain, I was able to go high. That was pretty cool. And really for me, it was just like after qualifying, I qualified first in the first qualifying, and that kind of set my day, turned it around because I was kind of struggling in the beginning. And as you know, with racing, like it's such a mental game. Like when you get good results like that, I feel like especially with myself, I never try to count myself out at all. And when you get results like that, it's like, okay, now I'm showing what I could do. And then you just keep pushing forward and building off that. And I think that showed throughout the night with the heat win. That was super awesome. I made a mistake last lap in the dash. I think I could have got that one, but yeah, Dallas was able to capitalize on me going wide. So learned from that. And the main man, I gotta say, I'm a little bit disappointed with. I can't be disappointed with the fifth because our best result yet, but at the same time, leading that many laps, it's like it's one of those things. You're like, dang, dude, I wish I would at least got like a top three. But again, those guys are so solid the whole race. I'm learning with experience on how to keep the pace going that whole race, and not really a physical thing, just mental, like switching lines and keep adapting as the track changes.
It definitely seemed like you had a good thing going with that high line throughout the early portions of the race, and then the bottom just sort of seemed to be the place to be for, especially for Breyer. It looked like in 1 and 2 there was a little more variety on where you can ride, but 3 and 4 the top kind of seemed to go away. What were you feeling on the bike sort of as that race progressed? Because you're able to get out front, pretty solid lead. The middle of 3 and 4 especially looked really sort of messy.
Yeah.
But what were you feeling sort of as a rider as that race kind of progressed?
Honestly, like it was so tacky, like up high in the beginning with the rain. Like probably the most grip I had had all day, especially if you chase that really dark dirt. But I think for me, just like as the race went on, obviously it slicked off and it was slicking off quick. And as a new ride, like a rookie rider, I needed to adapt quicker. And when Breyer passed me, I did go down, but I think I needed to calm down a little more and try to settle in. Breyer was really fast. I don't think I was going to beat him either way, but I needed to try to at least latch on a little bit more and figure out his line. It just felt like the track maybe slicked off a little bit up there, and then the bottom line, which we had been running all day, being such a pronounced groove just came back to in play being the better line. And for me, I basically went back up high as you saw because that was working for me early on. But I think if I would have calmed down looking back at the lap times, I could have got that bottom to work and maybe stayed a little closer to the front.
Well, and then you and Jared had quite a little duel there. It looked like you guys got held up a little bit in lap traffic and just couldn't quite get around for a little bit. Had a pretty strong battle with Jared toward the end of the race. You weren't the only one that was kind of struggling to lock in a line. Dallas earlier in the race was slipping up down there as well, but still, like you said, nothing to be too bummed about. Definitely a good thing
Yeah.
to build off of, and it's cool to kind of hear like sort of what you were feeling throughout that night. Colby had mentioned on the broadcast you guys had some struggles keeping tires under it at times. Can you elaborate on that at all, or did I just completely mishear what he was talking about?
No, like we've being with the bikes, like we've done so much testing on the bikes this past 6 months or so leading in and through the season that we've gotten them to a place where we're able to push them really hard. And I think with that comes new sets of challenges that we haven't faced in the past. Obviously, my dad in the past like 4 or 5 years has worked with the G&G team with suspension and stuff, but he never was able to fully focus on those bikes with like Corey and Colby, unfortunately, because he was always focused on my stuff. So now he's really getting them even more dialed in, I feel like. And with being that we're in the Super Twins class with the longer main events, and then we're getting them to go faster and we're pushing the bike harder, we're just coming into new sets of problems where I think also as a rookie, like not realizing like the faster bike for longer laps, you gotta manage the tire. And in the singles class, you don't really do that. You just ride wide open for 6 minutes or whatever. And so that's a whole new set of challenges. Like I said, we're running into with that. And I think it's a little bit now we got obviously we're getting the bike fast. So now we need to figure out how to set it up in a way that we can go fast and preserve the tire. And as a rider, I need to do my job and ride it appropriately and constantly chase lines and put the tires in the right places that I'm not like overworking the tire and spinning up in the middle of the corner. Cause like you could see in the middle of the in the middle of the race, like I was starting to step out a bit in the middle of the corner. And some of that was me just like as the race went on, like I said, not adapting quick enough. And some of it's just like I said, we're working on getting the bike set up for not just the getting it going fast, but also for the whole race. You hear a lot of those guys like they talk about like setting their bike up for the end of the race, and I never really understood that. I'm like, you should just set it up to go fast. But now I'm starting to understand, like, oh yeah, maybe you do need to set it up for the end of the race so you're still going fast there.
In addition to just like you talked about calming down and sort of setting up for the end of the race and stuff like that, what other things, if you had to sort of adjust about maybe your style and how you attack the track, moving up to a much heavier motorcycle?
Really just like with the throttle, you gotta be so much smoother. The singles, I feel like at least for me, it's like we're like wide open. Like whoever can get the most wide open for the longest, I felt like won the singles class. Whereas on these twins, it's much more about throttle control. Like if you look at our TPSs in the pits, we're like rolling up the whole straightaway on some of these tracks. So really it's throttle positioning and making sure you're rolling the bike, not stepping it too out of line. Because if you roll the bike, these frames, they hook up really well. But at the same time, with having so much power, they let you know when you're overriding them and things can go sideways pretty quick.
Whenever you're able to, I talked to Trent a little bit when he was at Capital City, and he talked about how much it's almost easier for him to ride 450s now whenever he does step back down. Do you sort of feel that way when you get a chance to hop back on the single for some of these like local outlaw races?
When I ride a Framer 450, yes. A DTX 450, no, actually. Like, I almost don't like riding the DTX 450 in flat track anymore. I rode mine at Corey's race, and like the way I used to set up a 450, it moved so much, and I don't know if that was right or not. Like I said, we've learned so much with these twins because like you have to set them up right. That like the single going back to it, I was like a fish out of water at Corey's race. I was way off pace because it was just like for me it was all over the place moving, and then I was like putting a super heavy wheel on trying to get it to mellow it down, and I don't know, I just couldn't figure it out. But I actually got to hop on a Framer 450 and a TT 500 framer recently, and those things are badass. I love riding those things. But yeah, a DTX bike, in supermoto or something is fun, but on flat track, I'm not huge on them anymore.
What's been sort of the atmosphere like now? So you're on a new team, pretty much like 90% of the paddock, everybody's switching teams. But coming from first impressions last year and now stepping over up into the G&G team, what's sort of the atmosphere like in the pit area on race day for you?
It's pretty awesome because I've known John and LJ, and my dad's known them since literally 2012. Because I started racing in 2012, and literally that's when LJ started racing. So I raced with LJ, and I've known them my whole career, whole pretty much whole life growing up, and now being part of a team with them, it was kind of like it really didn't take long to gel with them at all. Obviously, everybody's different. Like the atmosphere in the paddocks in the pits is different than the first impressions team, but like it really didn't take long to gel. They work their butts off freaking to get the bike working just as much as any other mechanic or team I've worked with, and bikes are really good and we get along with them. So not a huge change, a little bit maybe mellower atmosphere than the first impressions atmosphere, but really both neither are like better like in the pits than the other as far as like that goes.
With you being based in California, a lot of the events on the American Flat Track circuit do take place in the Midwest and the East Coast. What is your like typical travel weekend like?
So like to go to the AFT races.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the AFT races, so like this year, John and LJ drive the bikes to all the tracks, and for me, we fly out Thursday or Friday usually, race Saturday, fly home Sunday. So it's really not a huge weekend. The flying's probably the hardest part of it, and then maybe adjusting to the time. But you kind of just get there, got to go to bed, and then you wake up on race day, and then that's the day you've been working the whole 3 weeks or whatever for to get to. So not really too high pressure of a weekend or too much to do.
Now we've got something, with like Lima coming up, and then DuQuoin back to back, or any of these weeks where you have to be, away from home for a long period of time. Is there anybody that you generally like try to stay with, or anybody that helps you out with lodging, or you pretty much just fly in and out every weekend?
I think this year we're gonna fly in and out. Last year we stayed in an Airbnb all week, but this year I think we're gonna fly in and then fly out on Sunday at or no, yeah, fly in Thursday, fly out Sunday for Lima, and then fly back for DuQuoin the next weekend.
All right, so the first 5 rounds of the season have been all short tracks, with the exception. I mean, you can call Sonoy what you want, but moving into Lucas Oil, which is a bigger short track, it's a car track, more paper clippy, and then Lima being the half mile and DuQuoin a mile. You're moving on to much larger tracks coming up in this next stretch. What are you sort of looking forward to? What is something you want to keep in the back of your mind? What are sort of James Ott's thoughts heading into this next phase of the 2025 American Flat Track season?
I'm excited for the bigger tracks, man. These twins they're better to ride on the big tracks in my opinion because they're faster. Obviously on these short tracks, you'll see a lot of the time the singles will have faster lap times than us, whereas these faster tracks, we're gonna probably end up being a little faster. So I'm excited to see what we got. I've ridden some of the faster bike motor packages that we have. So I'm excited to stretch the legs on those as far as like things I need to do, just work on twisting the throttle harder, I guess.
All right, James, obviously none of this would be possible without, the people in your corner helping you out. So before we part ways today, let's go ahead and give a shout out to everybody that's sponsoring you and helping put the program together this year.
Yeah, definitely. First off, G&G Racing, Yamaha Racing, Media Home, First Impressions Race Team, Simi Valley Spine and Wellness, Leslie Brothers Racing, 60 Helmets, LWR, Honolulu Hills Flat Track, Light Shoe, Fredericktown Yamaha, Access Media Labs, and X Brand Goggles. And everyone who helps me out big and small, whether you walk up and just help me out in the pits. I've had people hand me money in the pits, and I love you all and thank you all so much.
Right on, man. Thank you again so much. And guys, I promise we're not holding James hostage here. That's just a black curtain to keep some of the light out. He is not being forced against his will to do these interviews. I promise.
Yeah, I got this actually from my mom. She does Zoom calls for work, so I put this up myself. No hostage happening here.
Okay, just wanted to clear that out. James, thank you again, man. Have a great rest of your week and an amazing season going forward. And we look forward to seeing you stretch the legs on that Yamaha coming up.
Thanks, Scotty.
A massive thank you to James Ott for sitting down to chat with us today. We're very excited to see what James and the G&G Yamaha team are able to do throughout the rest of the season, already getting that first top 5, leading laps in the Twins class, looking super competitive. Very excited to see what he's able to do right now, again, in that just dogfight for 6th in the points between himself, Max Whale, Dan Bromley, and Trent Lowe, all having solid runs to their credit this year. If you guys are looking for some racing over the weekend, a couple of races going on in California, depending when you're watching this at least. May 15th, Thursday night at King City Fairgrounds, the Ricky Graham Memorial is taking place out there. And I did find a link to a live stream, so we'll throw this in here and see if you guys want to try to check that out. We're going to give it a shot and see what it looks like to keep up to date with the racing going on out there. Also, Friday night, there's an event at Kern. It's a little doubleheader going on in California. Across the pond, there's a doubleheader going on for DTRA as they continue their season over in the UK with a doubleheader at Greenfield. And generally, their racing is up on YouTube if you guys want to take a look at that. Declan Bender is going to be heading over there with the Dead Good Race team and competing in those events. So that'll be fun to check out. And additionally, you've also got rounds 3 and 4 of the Mission Foods CTR Flat Track Series at Western Reserve Motorcycle Club up in Salem, Ohio. That is on Friday and Saturday. Corey's going to have that event run similar to Winter Throwdown, splitting the classes into 2 groups. First group running in the morning and your larger displacement bikes and pros running in the afternoon. You can check all that out on Fans Choice. So lots of racing going on this weekend that it looks like we might have access to view. Now, that being said, if you're in and around these geographic regions, please make sure you're going out to support the races. Thank you guys so much again for checking out this channel. We really appreciate all the support. Please make sure you're also supporting those who are bringing content to us around flat track racing, be it podcasts, YouTube, any sort of social media channels. We appreciate everything that people are doing to help grow this sport and support the sport. Thank you to all the riders, fans, sponsors, everybody involved in making this the best form of motorsport on the planet. And we're super excited for what the rest of the year has in store. So once again, thanks to James Ott for chatting with us today. We're going to wrap it up here and hope you guys have a fantastic day. Peace, love, all that jazz, Take care, everybody.